Hey Squarespace builders! This video is to talk a little bit about how the portfolio works. And in this example, you can see I'm looking at the navigation and there's different icons. When you see this grid of 4, that means it's a portfolio. And what I want to show you is in your navigation, you can click on the settings for a section. And for your portfolio settings, it will say portfolio on the left, and you can choose what it's called in your navigation. So I've called it home. So that's how you can make a portfolio page your home page, and you can add sections to it just like you would any regular page. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing, is at the bottom of my general settings, you can see this is set as your home page. And so it gives me a little home icon, meaning it's the home page, which means whatever domain name I've associated with this Squarespace site. So let's say this is birdofparadise.com. That will go to what is the home page. But also whatever slug, because you're required to add a slug, this slug will redirect to the home page without the slug, right? So it will go to birdofparadise.com. So it is not a duplicate, it is a redirect. All right, so why setting the slug is important still, if your home page is your portfolio, is when you, let's say in this case, this is the view of the portfolio. So each word brings up the feature image. So if I click on jewelry, I'm now in a sub page of the portfolio, and it has a URL. So if I come into edit, it is a project. It gives me all the blocks that I can update here on the page. But it is in portfolio, which gives me these left and right navigation that take me to other areas of the portfolio. And you can actually see when I hover over this that the URL slug is portfolio/fiber art, and over here is portfolio/home decor. And that's why it's important that I had that slug portfolio. If you had typed in something like home, then you would have /home jewelry or home home decor. So realizing that you want it to be a term like gallery or home. So in my design, so the home page is going to have the starting point, the kind of grid view of the portfolio, and you can get to all of the sub pages by clicking when that is there. But I also wanted a way that someone could get quick links to each of those areas, almost like their own pages. So how I did that is I created drop-down links. And what's important about this is when you create, so you would go to the plus sign and you have this option for drop down. All right, so this first item, it's not actually a link. I cannot get to the page My Work. It is only used to be able to open whatever the drop downs are. Now, it's a little bit confusing here because if you click the settings, you do have to have a URL slug, and it does have to be unique. However, it does not go anywhere. And so it's kind of ignored. All right, so then I'm using links rather than pages. I cannot actually access the components of the portfolio. So when I click add page, I'm going to choose link, and then I can call it what I would like. So in this case, if I go back to home, I can actually see the links that I am creating. So I have fiber art, jewelry, home decor. You can always drag your navigation to change the order. So after home decor, I have apparel. So I'm going to go to add page link. I'm going to call it apparel. and I know that the URL, I'm using a relative URL here, meaning I need to start with a / and it's portfolio and then apparel. And to show you again, you can tell what your URL is even by just hovering over. You can see on the bottom left of my screen, I can see / portfolio / statement -walls. So that's what I'm going to add there. Go to links, statement walls. Again, / starts it, so I am relative link. If you do not do that, then it will try to link you to portfolio / statement walls instead of whatever your domain name is. So you'll get an error. Your domain name would be, in this case, birdofparadise.com / portfolio. So you do want to make sure that you're cognizant of a relative URL or not. Okay, so we've added a few of those, and you can see I can continue to add it. And if we go ahead and click into a page, you can see what we are doing. So we've used a portfolio as our home page. That way we can add whatever we want, but it also has that portfolio element. And then we've created the navigation for those pages that are housed from the portfolio by using a link tree here of making links through drop-downs directly to those pages that are living within portfolio. So hopefully that helps. Alternatively, if you do not use portfolio, you would kind of create your own. Each of the areas in your portfolio would be their own unique pages, and you would use a drop down to get to them, and you would maybe use a gallery to kind of have the way to group them. But the portfolio component is a new component that has a lot of possibilities and is available to you in the latest Squarespace. All right, enjoy. All right, there's a few other things I wanted to show you as far as portfolios and slugs. So here's the portfolio, and I've named it home. If we click on the actual portfolio in our pages, that's where it gives us, it's kind of the double click in, and these are all of the areas of your portfolio. And you can add more by saying plus and add a project into your portfolio or your gallery. You can also use the horizontal ellipse, go to settings, and you can duplicate one that you've already made. Now note that there is no way currently to hide one of your projects or your areas. So as soon as you create it, it's live on your website. So that's the bad part. Note that when you come into the horizontal ellipse, you can change your featured image, and in this case those featured images are typically what's going to be shown and however your work is presented as the portfolio. So in this case you can see this is what's showing as the background image as I roll over all of these categories. All right, so as we're talking about slugs, in this case, I've made my portfolio, that page is my home page. And so I can access that from the root of my domain name. So in this case, that's the birdofparadise.com. And if I click on the settings, this is where I can make my URL slug. So my URL slug, when it's the home, is pretty much ignored, but it is used for the subpages. So how you see those is if you click on your portfolio, then you're seeing each of your elements, and then that's where you're going to go to the horizontal ellipse, and you are going to set the second part of the slug, the second line, the second area in, but the first part is from whatever you've named your portfolio. So you probably don't want it to be home or something like that. You want it to be more like gallery or my work or portfolio. So you want to make sure that you name your URL slug of the portfolio something that is going to be useful and you want to be for all of your subpages. So in this case, once I've changed that and I come back into the ellipse, you can see it's now portfolio fiber art. And this is the slug, although you can't grab both. But this full relative address is what we're using when we go into our drop-down menu and I'm directing people to home decor. You can see that that link is portfolio-home decor. And all the other ones are portfolio/apparel, portfolio/bridal. So that's how it kind of works. And so that's what you want to make sure that you're paying attention to is you're setting your slug from where you've defined your portfolio home, but you can't actually just get to that portfolio page. It will redirect to your home page. All right, so again, I hope that demo helps you better understand how the portfolio component is working in Squarespace.